Welcome in, my Lions fans. It is one day closer to Detroit Lions training camp. It is like Christmas in July. It is my favorite time of year. Um, Baseball's not exactly holding me over like I like it to. So we're getting ready for this is officially the start of the NFL season for the Detroit Lions for me. This is when we're putting the pads on soon. Not right away, but soon. We're getting there. Training camp. Rookies have already reported. Vets are reporting on Monday. So what I'm going to do today is I'm not going to dive into the rookies. I'm going to be talking some training camp. I'm going to be sticking with the defense today. I already did an episode on just the rookies. I will tag that at the end of this video if you guys want to check that one out. I will have to obviously mention some rookies because there are going to be some battles I'm going to have to talk about here. But for the most part, I'm not going to be mentioning many rookies, so I'm just focusing on the defense today. This is in no particular order, just some things I'm going to be paying attention to. Defensively, man, I think we're due for a huge season. The defense was kind of at times, not all the time. I don't want to be too critical because I know it got better, and there were some times where our defense looked really good. But the defense was kind of the handicap for this team last year. Let's just put it that way. I think that's a good, safe, comfortable way to put it. They were kind of maybe a liability at times. Not all the time, but toward the end of the season, we started getting shredded by some good offenses. It happens. Brad Holmes goes out, fixes some defense, but let's get into it. First and foremost, again, not in any order, Jack Campbell. I think Jack Campbell is due for a huge season. I think the addition of DJ Reader is going to play a huge impact on keeping offensive linemen from getting down on their blocks. Onto Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes. I think that's going to be the game within the game. So I'm looking for Jack Campbell to have a big year. I've highlighted him in a previous episode too. If you guys want to find that one, it was just about a week ago. If you want to check that out, I did in-depth, some clips that I shared with some stuff he does in the passing game, some zone coverage, some man coverage, some stuff against the run that he does very well. I'm looking for him to grow off of that and have an even better second year, man. And I say it quite often when I'm talking about this 2023 draft class. Jack Campbell's kind of the fourth of the big four. Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, and Sam Laporta. Like it's no knock on Jack Campbell. He's just those other three guys are just absolute monsters. Jack Campbell is for sure ever worth every bit of a first round pick. And I said the other day, you redraft that 2023 draft class, you probably don't get Jack Campbell. I think he goes in the first round. I think all four of those guys I just mentioned, I don't think we get either one of them. So I'm looking for Jack Campbell. He looked good in OTAs. He had a couple interceptions, and I get it. It's OTAs. We don't want to get overly excited or overly hyped, but this is a guy who at Iowa won the Butkus Award. You don't win the Butkus Award by being a bad linebacker. Like, this guy has off the charts talent. I think he just has to get used to the speed of the NFL game. And I think that this second season is going to be, I think he's going to be caught up in that regards, because I've showed you guys some clips. He's got the intelligence. He's got the smarts. It's just kind of putting it all together. The NFL is fast, and playing middle linebacker, essentially the quarterback on the defense, it's a tough task. But I did point out some stuff that he was doing in week 1 against the Chiefs, some good stuff, calling out some coverages, shifting some people around. I like where Jack's headed. I think he's on the right trajectory. It's just going to take a little time, but I do think we will see a big step up from him in this season. Next, moving on, Bradrick Martin. I have to admit that I've been pretty critical of Bradrick Martin until I really started diagnosing and thinking of this team in long term and these project players that we have a couple. And I think Bradrick Martin is the centerpiece of the project players, like him, Giovanni Manu, Hendon Hooker, kind of. There's some other guys that are kind of just built for the long term of the Detroit Lions. So as much as we'd love to see Bradrick Martin, what I've loved seeing from him this offseason is the work he's been putting in, absolutely transforming his body. If you guys haven't seen the video of him, I think it's probably his backyard where he's towing around a trailer with an ATV on it for a workout. Like, this dude's putting the work in. He's obviously dedicated to football. Now, players like this, we've seen it a million times where they don't get on the field. They're just here to kind of collect some money, have some fun, but they don't really care if they get on the football field or not. I don't see that with Bradrick Martin. I see him putting the work in. I see him dedicating himself to football. It's just going to take him a little time. So my expectations for 2024 is I just want to see him on the field. That's a step toward earning the trust of Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, Terrell Williams. It's just a step. I don't expect him to go out and have like a monster game with like 3 sacks. He's really not that type of player anyway. But my point is, let's just put him in some pads. Let's get him on the football field, assuming he earns the right to get on the field. You don't just show up and say, hey, I'm a 3rd-round draft pick. I deserve to be on the field. That's not how the Detroit Lions operate. What I'm saying is I want to see all that work that he put in this offseason in the gym, into his body, his diet, getting himself in football shape. I want to see it translate to the football field. I think it will. I think we will see him play more games this year than we did last season. It's not really an astronomical number. I think if he suits up and plays 10 games, I'd be pretty happy with that. I think that would just be a step in the right direction. I've also said that I think Bradrick Martin is competing for kind of that second wave of defensive linemen. We know Ali McNeil, DJ Reader, those are going to be the starters, first guys out of the tunnel when teams are getting introduced on defense. Bradrick Martin, when those guys need a break, him and I think Mekhi Wingo are going to be the 2 second pairings of defensive tackles. And that kind of leads me into my 3rd guy. Again, not in any order, but Levi Onwuzurike. It's a make or break year for me when it comes to Levi. Looked okay as a rookie, nothing absolutely phenomenal, but we thought we might have a nice piece. Missed all of his second year with a back injury, the fusion surgery, and only played in 10 games last year. So what is that, 34 games, and he's only played 10? And that's not even counting the playoffs, so he's missed more than half the last 2 seasons. I get it. Injuries happen. Like I said, make or break year. I'm not holding anything against him. I hope he bounces back in 2024 and he plays all 17 games and he has a huge impact and he's just another rotational piece. And then maybe we can use a Mekhi Wingo to kind of rotate at that defensive end position because Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell mainly Dan Campbell has said that he's given him some reps at edge and OTAs and rookie OTAs, Mekhi Wingo, that is. So if Levi Onwuzurike comes out and proves me wrong and he's healthy, I think he will be the second defensive tackle, and that gives us a little bit of versatility with Mekhi. So it's a win-win. I just want to see him stay healthy. I think he's a more than capable NFL player. When he's healthy, he's an absolute nightmare. I saw something, I think it was late last preseason where Bradrick Martin had a ton of pressures just in preseason games, which very, very small sample of work there. I get it. But my point is, I could be even wrong on that, but I know I saw a high pressure rate. I can't remember exactly where it was in the season though. I tried to look that up and I was not able to find it. So I do think Bradrick Martin, Levi Onwuzurike could both be the starting defensive tackles. And again, that's phenomenal. That just gives us some more leverage, some more options with younger players like Mekhi Wingo. And that's not to say that Mekhi Wingo can't throw his name into the defensive tackle mix as well. Fourth on my list, I got the DBs. I'm looking at these DBs. I want to see who's in what situations and what role they're playing. I know Carlton Davis is going to be the number one cornerback. It's kind of been up in the air. Who's going to be number 2? Is it going to be Terrion Arnold? Is it going to be Ennis Rakestraw? Is it going to be Amik Robertson? Don't count out Emmanuel Mosley. Not sure exactly where he is in his rehab process from his ACL he tore last year, but I know he's probably itching to get back on the field. So I'm looking to see who's going to be playing that second cornerback position. It's fully up for grabs, I feel like. And Brian Branch moving to safety full-time. That kind of where are we going to play? Who's playing nickel? Who's playing number 2 corner? I'm interested to see who's going to be playing these defensive pairings, what situations, and what the packages look like. So, again, something to keep an eye on. My last thing, guys, I'm telling you right now, my number one thing, and I will say this is number one. If you've been watching the show for the last couple weeks, you know about my guy, Mitchell Agude. Absolute fan favorite. If you don't know his story, look him up. I did an episode on him a couple weeks ago. It's something along the lines, I titled it, Meet Your New Favorite Detroit Lions Player. You guys need to watch that episode, and you will understand exactly why he's my favorite. Listed as second on the depth chart behind Aiden Hutchinson as that defensive end spot. So I'm kind of, on top of that and his story. I'm not going to spill the beans on his stories. If you guys want the information, you got to either look it up yourselves or I gave it to you in that episode. So I don't want to say too much, but this kid has one of the best heartfelt stories of the Detroit Lions in 2024. I don't want to spill the beans. You guys know me. I like to see some people overcome adversity, fight. One of those E60 type stories. That's all I'm going to say. So Mitchell Agude from UCLA. I've got my eyes on him, and I'm really, really, really hoping he makes this team. I think he will because he's listed as the second defensive end on the Detroit Lions depth chart, according to ESPN. And I know that doesn't mean anything, But I think it's a good indication that an undrafted free agent, his story, I think he's going to make the team. I'm really, really pulling for him. At the very, very least, I'm hoping he makes the practice squad. So, guys, like I said, just wanted to hop on here, talk a little defense today. I will be getting some offensive work in here. I'm working on some stuff. I can't go into training camp and not talk about offense. So I will probably have that episode out later tonight or maybe Sunday night. I'm not sure yet, but leave some comments down below. Let me know what you're watching in training camp. Try to keep it defense for this episode if you can. But if you want some offensive players, I'll look it over. And if I got time before I record, guys, I'll look into some stuff and I might add it to the list. But leave some comments down below. Stick around. I'll be back later with another show.